Making Medical Anthropology in Japan, a memoir of 10 years of Osaka in 1980s, presented by Mitsuho Ikeda. The chapters are following: 1, historical metaphor and actual realities. 2nd, 批判的医療, critical medicine. 3rd, visiting foreign medical anthropologists. 4th, Japanese medical anthropologists in a teacup. Final, 5th, the combination of DNA of Japanese medical anthropology. So, first chapters, historical metaphors and actual realities. The story I would like to tell is not historiographical fact, but a kind of fable about making an academic discipline, medical anthropology in Japan, around the 1980s. Even though the story depends on my historical realities, I would like to narrative in detail. My story can be allegory for making originally a kind of academic discipline in Japan where the native inhabitants are good at faking as an important scholarship, Yunyu Gakumo. Why is the allegory important? I would like to explain how young Japanese students imagined what is called medical anthropology when this was not in presence in 1980s university curriculum. For me, it is not important if it is an important scholarship or not, because any kind of scholarship should be contextualized to its specific locality. Its origin does not matter for me. In 1980, I granted as a Bachelor of Science at Kagoshima University. I studied field ecology of wild Japanese monkeys in Miyazaki Prefecture, southern Japan. Unfortunately, I began studying in a master course at Graduate School of Medical Sciences at Osaka University's graduate school. Because I failed my entrance examination for a primatology and ecological anthropology master course at the Graduate School of Science in Kyoto University. After first half of my year at Osaka University, I applied to enter biochemical laboratory to prepare my master thesis. The biochemical laboratory is incorporated with one of the world's most famous research institutes for biochemistry, physical chemistry, and molecular biology. I participated in a small research unit studying rat brain metabolism relating to biocircadian rhythm under the effect of various psychotropic medical substances. But eventually, I would not handle a series of animal experiments with sacrificing object painless, as it made me, the subject, painful. I had enjoyed my time before with monkey in a wild forest environment for more than 1 year. Anyway, I dropped out of a natural science laboratory after only within a few months. I just start as an anecdote in which I met with Professor Yonezo Nakagawa in early 1981. Do you remember the name of Yonezo Nakagawa in the Professor Margaret Rock's book? His name is appeared in a dedication of her book, Twice Dead, Organ Transplant and Reinvention of Death, published in 2002. In early 1981, I visited the office of Professor Yonezo Nakagawa, who taught medical history, medical ethics, later bioethics, and history of idea in environmental medicine. I told him that I wanted to study something like a cultural anthropology in a master course in the medical sciences. He said that actually there had been a new emerging area with the name medical anthropology. I was fascinated by its sound of anthropology because I dedicated myself to the task of my fieldwork with wild Japanese monkey in undergraduate day in from 1978 to 1980. Anyway, in Nakagawa Sensei's office, I borrowed the textbook Medical Anthropology, written by George Foster and Barbara Anderson, published in 1978 by John Wiley and Sam from him. Professor Margaret Rock's first medical ethnography, East Asian Medicine in Urban Japan, based on her fieldwork in Kyoto from 1973 to 74, had just been published in 1980. 2 years later, her book was translated into Japanese under Professor Nakagawa's name with his introductory note. At the same time, he introduced me to his laboratory members. There were some graduate students and his fellows, Nakagawa files, or enthusiasts for the professor's book and his thought. However, I doubt whether his thought can be understood easily. They held spontaneous study group and seminar once a week, where they read not only his book, but also book written by Iago Galdstone, Pedro Lain Entralgo, George Rosen, Thomas McCune, George Liebman Engel, Ivan Illich, Michel Foucault, and so on. Soon after, we organized a new subgroup which tended more toward the medical anthropology discipline. As we dominated our group, the medical anthropologist in Osaka, its acronym was MAO, M-A-O. So we are members of the group, the Maoist. The Maoist is a homonym for the communist who embraced the political doctrine of mutualistic and peasant populist Mao Zedong thought. One Chinese visiting scholar explained to us that Mao has 4 different meanings according 4 different pinyin. Cat, Mao. Contradiction, Mao. Rebet, Mao. And flourish, Mao. So as such, we enjoyed it because it represented our own diverted images of medical anthropology. Needless to say, our spiritual leader or a guru, great guru, was Nakagawa Sensei. Under the liberal and anarchistic atmosphere of his and our laboratory, we are reaching towards some kind of critical thought, 批判的思想 or 批判的思考. We wanted to criticize the present medicine reforming toward a utopian medicine. According to our vision, the present medicine would reflect on its negative instance. For example, misuse, malpractice, and structural corruption. All things come from the structural problems of the capitalist society. We dominated this perspective of our idealistic medicine, 批判的医療, critical medicine. We expected that medical anthropology gave a hint to construct and reconstruct idealistic medicine through critical methodology. We are not megalomaniac utopians on a sudden inspiration we shared in a part the history of liberalist social hygiene academic, Gesellschaft für Hygiene of the Osaka Imperial University from 1930 in the difficult year before 1945. This is first chapter of my thesis. Thank you.